Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Everybody can hear teacher?
Yep.
Good, good, good. Welcome, welcome, everybody. Come on in. Isadora is here. Maria Mendoza's here. Rosendo's here. Edith's here. David's here. Jose's
Hi,
here.
teacher. Hi, teacher.
Good evening. Rita is here.
Evening.
Hi, Rita. And okay, that's a good start. It's a good start. Julio's here. Okay. Getting rolling here. 8 students already. Very good, very good. All right, here we are. Monday.
Good evening.
Did everybody have a nice weekend?
Yes, teacher. And you?
Were you? It was nice. We had a little Easter celebration over here. So we cooked a big dinner. We had lamb and mashed potatoes and corn. So it was
delicious
with gravy on the mashed potatoes. It was very delicious, very delicious. So I was very happy yesterday to spend time with my family, have a nice dinner, and back to work today, right?
Yes.
Back to work today. Very good. So let's get started as we usually do with the verb practice. Let's see. So let me share this for you, everybody here, if I can. Let's find my button here. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, can everybody see the?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. All right.
What happened to it?
It disappeared for a second because I have to push another button.
All right.
Okay, let's see. Push that. There we go. It's back. All right. Now again, I sent this to everybody in the Remind app, so you might have it already on your printed out on your computer. But let's see what we can do here. The first one has the word already. So what do we want to say with already?
Has.
Has. I agree. Has already swept. I agree. Has already swept. Got another visitor coming in here. Let's admit everybody. Okay, there we go. Okay, has already swept. Now the next one says yesterday. So how do we ask a question about yesterday?
Did
Frank mail?
I agree. Did
Frank mail the package yesterday?
ED or no?
Yes. No.
Yes.
No.
No ED.
No.
It's a
Regular
question.
No.
Regular.
Question. That's right.
Regular.
All right. Now the next one has that word while. Remember, what do we do with while when we have a past tense?
Was
Exactly. We want that past continuous. While Bob was studying, his brother watched TV while he was studying. Past continuous with while. Okay, now the next one says last week's test, and the verb here is know. So the answer is going to be past tense irregular, exactly. Okay, and EW, right? We changed the O to E for past tense. Perfect. All right. Now the next one says at the wedding next week. Next week, future negative. Future negative. Won't. Exactly.
Won't
see or aren't
We're not going. We're not going.
to
Aren't going.
see. Okay, here's another visitor. Who's this? Martine. Okay, come on in, Martine. Okay, very good. All right. Let's go to the next one here. All right, the next one is a question about your parents' car.
Do your parents have?
Do we say are or do?
Do
Are.
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 I
Are
agree.
your
Are.
parents?
Are your parents?
Wait a minute.
Parents
Wait
have.
a minute. You were very convincing, and I almost wrote are, but I don't think so.
Oh,
Do your
I
parents?
think we want do.
do.
Do your parents have?
Do your parents have?
Do
Do your
parents?
parents have a blue car? Here comes Claudia. Nice to see Claudia. Okay, very good. All right, now the next one here. Here's another one. Oh, two more people. There's Leonarda and Noel. Okay. Okay, let's see. The next one says, my father softball with his friends for
Play.
many years.
has played?
Play.
Has been?
Has
We
played?
can go both, right? Has played, no problem.
Play.
Or has
Didn't play.
been playing.
Has been playing.
Has played or has been playing.
Has been played.
All right. Now the next one has that word lately. Do you remember that one from level 3? Lately?
Yes.
What do we do with lately?
Has
You,
actually
Does?
been.
Has,
it
right.
has
Judy.
Clean.
Has Julie?
Has Julie
Cleaned.
Clean.
Has
cleaned?
Or
Clean.
Exactly. Has Julie cleaned the garage? Has cleaned. Now the next one says, listen. Somebody
it's knocking.
is knocking.
No, it's nothing.
It's knocking.
Somebody is very enthusiastic tonight at somebody's house. A lot of enthusiasm from some young boy, sounds like to me. All right. All right. Now the next one is about Jason and not very well. Jason
Isn't?
and not very well.
It's
Which one do you like?
isn't.
Isn't or doesn't for this one?
Doesn't.
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 I prefer doesn't. Exactly. Doesn't sing. Because we're speaking in general. Who's this? Jennifer. Okay, come on in, Jennifer.
Has Maria ever?
Okay. The next one has ever. So what do we say?
Has
Has.
Maria ever worked?
Has Maria either worked?
Ever worked.
Well,
Has
No.
Maria ever worked in a restaurant? Present perfect with ever. Has she ever worked?
Has
Now the
Maria
next
ever worked?
Now the next one is, we have to read the back part of the sentence carefully. It says, when suddenly his cell phone rang. When suddenly his cell phone rang.
Was
was
teaching?
teaching.
Was
Was
teaching.
teaching.
Was
Perfect.
teaching.
Was teaching. Perfect. All right. Now the next one says, next year's LA Marathon. Next
Will.
year's LA Marathon.
Still wrong.
Will.
Will run.
Exactly.
Will
Will.
run.
Would
Will
run.
run.
Oops. Sorry about that. My space is all messed up here. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Will run or
It's going to run.
is going to run, right. Is going to run. All right, now the next one. The next one is about the language people speak in Uruguay. Okay, so what's better? Are, do, have? What do we want here?
Are.
Are.
Does.
Are would be like
Do
right
people.
now. Do, exactly. We're making
Okay,
a
do
general
people
statement.
speak?
Do people speak
Speak.
Spanish in Uruguay? Do people speak Spanish in Uruguay? Okay. Okay. The next one. My
Gave me
mother, some good advice yesterday. What happened
Gave me.
yesterday?
Gave me.
advice.
Gave me.
Gave me.
Gave
me.
All right. Now the next one. The next one says, cooked for a long time.
I person.
Haven't.
Haven't.
I have
Haven't.
not
Perfect.
cooked.
Haven't cooked.
Haven't cooked.
Haven't cooked.
Haven't cooked for a long time. Now the next one, again, let's read very carefully. It says, when you arrived at the hotel. When
Yes,
you
anyone.
arrived at the hotel, at that moment.
Was eating.
What can we say?
Was.
Was, right?
Was.
Was.
Was anybody
sitting?
sitting?
Anyone.
Sitting?
Right? Was anyone sitting in the hotel lobby when you arrived at the hotel? Was anyone sitting? Okay, good. Now number 18. Number 18 says not yet. Not yet.
We haven't eaten?
We haven't. Perfect. I love it. We haven't eaten. I love that.
Eaten.
Present perfect with not yet. Present perfect is going to be very important later in our lesson. So keep present perfect in mind. Okay, here comes Ida Vegas. Here she comes. There she's in.
Okay.
Okay. Hello,
I
Ida
haven't
Vegas.
done.
I
The
haven't
next
done.
one, not yet. Exactly. Same as number 18, right? We're going to use present perfect because we're talking about until now. I haven't done the laundry yet. Perfect. Okay, now the next one is not today, it's last night.
Did you finish?
I didn't.
Did
Exactly.
you finish?
Did.
Did your parents, oops, finish your assignment last night? Did your parents finish? Excellent. Now the next one says next month. Next month.
Next laundry
Will.
Two choices, right? Will meet or
is going
is
to.
Is
going
going
to
No, he's going.
is going to meet. Right. Will meet or is going to meet. Present, excuse me, future or going to. Now the next one has the word usually.
Do you
Do.
Simple
Do
present.
you? Very good, very good.
usually
Do you usually
come?
come or coming?
Come.
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 Do you usually come to school by car? Very nice, very nice. All right, the next one. How long? How long
Has.
Has Francisco
has Francisco?
Studying.
And again, two
Studying.
choices. Been
Has been.
studying or
been
Been
studying
studying.
or is
Has studied.
how long has Francisco been studying German? Or how long has Francisco studied German?
Study.
Both are fine. Okay. All right. And the next one says not much recently. Oh, here's Maria.
Haven't ridden.
I don't
Haven't
write.
driven, right. Haven't ridden
Oh, I
or
haven't
haven't
driven.
been riding, right. Both are good.
haven't
Right.
So two choices. Haven't ridden, no problem. Or haven't been
or haven't
riding.
riding.
Haven't ridden or haven't been riding my bicycle very much recently. And now the next one is the big thing we were talking about last week, right? That if. Now we have to remember, we have to look carefully over here.
Drive.
What do we have over here?
And
Sam
We
and I
will.
drive.
Exactly.
Right.
Simple present. Remember, the partner was present and future.
drive.
If we drive to Orange County tomorrow, we will visit his brother. If we drive.
You
Okay. No problem?
No.
Everybody happy?
Yes.
Yes.
Más o menos? Now,
Más o
now,
menos.
now remember, every day I'm going to send you this in your Remind app so you can print it out and do it ahead of time if you want to. Again, I know not everybody has a printer, so don't panic if you don't have a printer. We can do it just together. But you can at least have it on your phone and you can look at it before. Okay? No problem there?
No problem.
All right, let me see my beautiful class here today. Oh my goodness, look at everybody. We
Hi.
got David and Maria and Jose, and there's Edith and Armando and Claudia and Jennifer. Got her nice pigtails on today. We have Isadora, Maria Ponce de Leon, Rita. Rita, I think is your first nighttime class, right?
Yes, I didn't receive any email, Mr. Webbs.
Oh, you did?
Thanks to David, he told me that he sent me a message saying
okay.
that you guys have been classes.
Maybe you're only on the list in the morning class.
In the morning classes, yes.
Oh, were you getting messages from the morning class?
Yes, from Miss Aguirre.
Okay. So that's the problem. You were on one list, but not on the other list.
On the other list, yes.
I apologize for that.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
Now, Rita, if you want to catch up, all of the lessons we had before are on the YouTube, so you can watch on YouTube, okay? If you want to watch the other lessons, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Webb, and thank you, David.
Yeah, thank you, David. Good job, David. Nice job. David, you got us a new student. I owe you a bonus. Get a recruiting bonus. And Vegas is here, and Julio's here, Rosendo's here, Noel is here, and Leonardo's here. That's not bad. That's what.
Thank you.
And the class is going up.
Yeah, going up and up. That's right. We want to improve. I'd like to see over 20 if we can, but we'll start with 15 and see if we can grow it to 20. So again, if you know anybody in this class and you don't see them here, please let them know about the class, and I will make a special effort to contact them. So, what did we talk about last week? Remember, what was our main idea last week? What was the main idea we talked about last week?
First conditional.
Right, first conditional, second conditional, right? And wish and hope, right?
Wish and
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to talk about conditionals again tomorrow. But before we talk about tomorrow's lesson of conditionals, there's one thing we have to learn tonight. And this is especially important for my level 4 students, because this is a new idea for level 4, and it's something that we have to learn before we can do the conditional that we're going to do tomorrow. Okay, sounds fair?
Yes.
Sounds fair.
Thank you.
So what are we going to talk about tonight? We're going to talk about how to compare two past tense actions. Now, we already know one way to compare two past tense actions. That's with past continuous, right? For example, when I logged on to the lesson, the other students were doing a verb worksheet, right? Simple past and past continuous, right? We learned that in level 3, actions in progress, right? So tonight we're going to learn a different one. So I'm going to share a little bit of a PowerPoint for you and show you this lesson, and we're going to talk a little bit about it tonight. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about not past continuous, but what we call past perfect. So let's talk about this a little bit tonight. All right. Can everybody see my slide?
Yes.
Everybody sees my beautiful slide? All right. All right. So what are we going to talk about? Past perfect. Now, we already know present perfect, right? Present perfect, we learned in level 3. It's the most important lesson from level 3, right? Have, has, eaten, have taken, have broken, have sung. So let's talk about past perfect. We're just going to make one little change to the form. One little tiny change. And here it is. when we make past perfect, instead of saying have or has, look what we're going to say instead. Had. We're going to use had and past participle, right? Present perfect, I have seen. Past perfect, I had seen, right? Past perfect in Spanish is like when you use había before a verb. Like, for example, había comido, I had eaten. Let me give you some examples here, right? Regular verbs, of course, we just add our ed, right? Had called, had visited, had worked. And of course, irregular verbs, we know very well from level 3, sometimes they're the same and sometimes they're different, these past participles, right? And you see the past participles here in red. We learned most of these back in level 3, I think so. Right? Remember all these past participles?
Yes.
Right? And in the special case, of course, with the be verb, our past participle is been. Right? So we're going to say had gone, had eaten, had, etc., etc., etc. Right? Had and past participle. So we make one little change to present perfect. Instead of saying have, we say had. Everything else the same. All right. Now, why do we use it? Let's talk about it. Using past perfect. And by the way, I always send the slides to people after the class is over. So don't panic that you have to write everything down on these slides. Write down the things you think are important, but don't feel like you have to copy the whole slide down, because I'll send you the slides and you can look at them anytime. All right. Past perfect is used to compare one action to another in the past. Let me show you what I mean. By the time I got to the airport, Barry's plane had already landed, right? We have two actions. First, the plane landed, and then I got to the airport. After I had read the book, I lent it to my cousin. First, I read the book, then I gave it to my cousin. I didn't eat Italian food last night because I had just eaten spaghetti the night before. We have last night and the night before. Last night, the night before. Unfortunately, the store had closed before we arrived. Two actions. The store closed, and then we arrived after that. When I saw Dorothy, I didn't recognize her because she had lost a lot of weight before that, right? Okay, let's compare. Here we have two pictures. Dinner, movie. Let's compare. When we have two past actions in a sentence, we often compare using past action, past perfect, for the action that happened first. Okay? Take a look. Here's an example. First, we ate dinner, then we saw a movie. Well, we can do that. We can do that in level 2, right? Those are just two simple past verbs. No problem. What happened first? Dinner. Second?
Movie.
Movie. So let's compare. So which one should be past perfect? The dinner or the movie? The dinner should be past perfect. Why? Because the dinner happened first. The dinner happened first. So after we had eaten dinner, we saw a movie. Or we had eaten dinner before we saw the movie. So it doesn't matter if you use after or you use before, the verb doesn't change. Past perfect for dinner, simple past for the movie. Past perfect for the dinner, simple past for the movie. Okay? Good.
Yes.
All right, let's look at some key words. Like present perfect, we often use past perfect with some key adverbs and phrases. Let's take a look at some of these. Before that, never, ever, already, not yet, by the time, just, the day before, etc. You'll look at these, and these are very similar to the key words we learned for present perfect, right? Very similar. So what's the difference? The difference is the time, right? Present perfect is hasta ahora, until now. Past perfect, hasta ayer, or hasta 1992, or hasta I got married. It's before or until something in the past. Let me show you some examples. I went to the Getty Museum last week. I hadn't been there before that. Two actions, right? Last week, before that. Last week, before that. Right? I'm comparing last week and before last week. The next one. The doctors were confused. They had never seen these symptoms before. They had never seen these symptoms before. Had never seen. Had never seen. That's perfect. Let me stop the share for just a second. I want to make sure something's happening here. Okay, yeah, no problem. Sorry. Back to sharing. All right. Here we go. Okay, back to our file here. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Higher. Back to our keywords. Okay. Here we go from current slide. Okay. There we are. Okay. Back to business. Had you ever studied English before you came to the United States? Again, two actions. You came to the United States and before that. You came to the United States 2007. What about before that? What about before that? I didn't have to sweep the floor because Amy had already swept it. I'm gonna turn off the microphones for a minute just so everybody can hear me clearly. Okay, there we go. All right, everybody hear me a little better now? Okay, here's the next one. Whoops. Okay, here's the next one. When I got home, the mail hadn't arrived. So again, two actions. First, I got home. First I got home and the mail wasn't there. It hadn't arrived yet at that time. Maybe it came later, 1 hour, 2 hours later, but when I got home, it hadn't arrived yet. See why we use that had? Because we're talking about yesterday. Tracy's eyes were red. ¿Por qué? Because she had just been chopping onions. She had just been chopping onions. That was like me yesterday when I was making the gravy. By the time we finished our work, the boss had gone home for the day. Again, two actions. First, the boss went home. Then we finished our work. I didn't call my mom yesterday because I had called her the day before. And again, 2 days. Yesterday, the day before. Yesterday, simple past. The day before yesterday, past perfect. Good. Okay. All right. How long? Remember, we use present perfect to tell how long. We can use past perfect to tell how long. Let's take a look. We're going to use how long for in. For example, oops, this one I made a mistake. I got to fix that right now. I made a mistake here. Teacher is repairing his mistake as we speak. Okay, there we go. All right. There it is. How long had you studied when you came to this school? How long had you studied? Past perfect. Yasmin had known her husband for 2 years before their wedding. They got married, I don't know, 10 years ago. But before the wedding, they had known each other for 2 years. Greg needed to take a day off yesterday. He hadn't had a day off in weeks. All right. We also use past perfect for cause and effect. Cause and effect, especially with the word because, right? We use past perfect with the cause because, of course, what happens? First the cause, then the effect. And remember, past perfect is always what happened first. Past perfect happened first. And the cause is always before the effect. Example, I passed the test. ¿Por qué? Because I had studied very hard. The streets were wet. ¿Por qué? Because it had rained the night before. Because I had studied French in high school, I was able to understand a little of the movie I watched last night. Past perfect. Henry lost his job because he had argued with his boss. Past perfect. All right, past perfect or simple past? Well, let's talk about it. Past perfect can be used anytime. Sorry, simple past can be used anytime. But past perfect is only used to compare. For example, I did yoga last night. No reason for past perfect. Simple past, right? But it was hard because I had never done yoga before that. Aha! Past perfect. ¿Por qué? Because now we have two actions. We have last night and we have before last night. Past perfect. My friend wanted to watch The Avengers on Netflix. Simple past. I didn't want to watch it because I had already seen it. Past perfect. What about perfect continuous, right? Remember, perfect continuous is always what? Been ing. So we're going to use had been ing. Notice these examples. How long had you been living in Los Angeles before you found a job? After we had been studying for 3 hours, we took a break for lunch. Carla's hair was wet because she had been swimming in the pool. The end. I hadn't understood past perfect until I took Mr. Webb's class. I hope so. I hope you understand, but if you don't worry, we're gonna start practicing. Okay, I'm gonna turn everybody's microphone back on. Okay, here we go. Everybody's mic is back on, I hope. Let's see. Unless your mic is off, let's see. There you go. Can everybody hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Okay, I'm gonna ask you some questions about your life. And the first question is gonna be the same. It's gonna be, when did you come to Los Angeles? When did you come to Los Angeles? And then I'm gonna ask you a second question of whether you had done something before you came or whether you did it after you came. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example before I ask you the question. Okay? So I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to share my board. So we're thinking about when we came to Los Angeles. So for example, oops, not 18. Feels like 18. 1987. Almost 35 years ago. Oh, teacher, it's getting old. I came to Los Angeles in 1987. There were some things I had already done at that time, but there were many other things that I hadn't done yet, but I did later. For example, let me give you some examples. For example, in 1987, I had already graduated from high school. I did that in 1982, right? Also, I had already studied French. I did that in college. All right. And I had also finished my university. I did that in 1986. So you see, everything before 1987, I say I had done it. I had done it before I came to Los Angeles. Before I came to Los Angeles. Now, on the other hand, on the other hand, try to keep the noises to a minimum, please.
Yes.
All right. On the other hand, there are several things I hadn't done at that time. For example, I hadn't met my wife. I met her in 1989. I hadn't gotten married. I did that in 1996. And I hadn't bought a house. I did that in 1999. Right? So some things I had done before I came to Los Angeles, and other things I hadn't done yet. Some things I had done, and some things I hadn't done yet. Had, hadn't. But notice, I have done all of these things in my life. All of these things I have done in my life. But some of them I had done before I came to LA. And other things I did after I came to LA. Okay? Everybody got it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you some questions then. Okay, here we are. All right, I'm going to start with David Segovia. Hello, David Segovia.
Hi, teacher.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. I have a question for you. What year did you come to Los Angeles?
Excuse me? Can you repeat again?
In what year did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles 2001.
2001?
Yes.
Okay. Before that, before you came to Los Angeles, had you studied English?
Yes, I have studied English 2 years in my country.
Okay, very good. So you see what he said? He said he had studied English before he came to Los Angeles. All right. How about everybody else? How many people had studied back in your country? Okay, 1, 2. Jose, 0?
No.
No. Claudia, how many years had you studied?
I finished the university in my country.
Okay, so you studied maybe 4 years, 5 years of English?
Yes, 5.
So very good, very good. Armando, how about you? Had you studied English before you came?
I haven't been studying English.
You hadn't studied any English, okay. So if you had studied English, it was probably a little easier to assimilate into culture in the United States.
Yeah, it could be, but it's the pronunciation is different.
The pronunciation.
Yes.
Yeah. The California pronunciation. All right. Let me ask.
I had English classes in my country, but I didn't put attention.
Oh. English. Who cares? When am I going to use English?
Yeah. I never know that I'm going to come to Los Angeles.
That's right. That's right. All right. Yeah, that's what the English teachers all around the world have this problem. They try to convince the students that English is useful.
Yeah, I know.
All right. All right. Maria Mendoza, you are next. Hello, Maria. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. What year did you come to Los Angeles?
I come to Los Angeles in 1991.
1991. Wow, almost 30 years ago. Had you seen the Pacific Ocean before you came to Los Angeles? Had you seen it? Had you gone to the ocean before you came to LA? No. Okay, so you saw it for the first time here in Los Angeles. I hope you have seen it in the last 30 years, yes? Yeah, you've gone to the ocean? Yes. Gone to the beach? I hope so. At least once. Once since 1991. So the same story. So David had studied English before he came to LA. And Maria had seen the ocean, or hadn't. You said no, right? She hadn't seen the ocean before she came to Los Angeles. All right, Edith, I ask you next. Are you ready?
Okay. Yes, teacher.
Okay. Edith, when did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 1998.
1998. Ah,
Mhm.
right before I got married. I got my baby was born. No, actually after I got married. All right.
Oh, after.
Yeah,
Okay.
my baby was born in '99, and I got
Oh
married
my.
in. No, not, my baby was born '98, and I got married in '96. I have to get these.
Oh.
I have to get these dates correct because my wife can hear me in the other room. I'll be in big trouble.
Oh.
You will see the
After the
video.
class, I'm on the sofa tonight, man. All right, so 1998, you came to Los Angeles. Very good. So now, do you have children now?
Yes, teacher, I have 3 children.
Had your children been born before you came to Los Angeles?
No, teacher, I haven't.
They were born here in Los
They
Angeles.
were, yes.
So again, it's no. She has children now, but
Mhm.
in 1998, her children hadn't been born yet, right?
No.
Her children hadn't been born yet in 1998. Now, of course, they are here, but
Yes.
but when she came to LA, she didn't have kids. She did not have any children. She was not a parent. Her kids hadn't been born. Okay, again, past
Yes.
perfect. All right, Armando, when did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 1988.
1988. Well, we have some veterans here. Long time in Los Angeles. 88. Okay. Now, before you came to Los Angeles, had you worked in your country?
Yes,
You had worked in your country. What kind of work had you done in your country?
I used to work for customs.
Oh, you were a customs official.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I have to be careful with that. Watch what you bring. What's in your bag, right?
I used to work at the airport and
in the airport.
in the airport of Guadalajara.
You say anything to declare.
Yeah.
Did you ever find some contraband?
Yeah, we found a lot of stuff.
Oh, I bet. That sounds like
we have a lot of bullets
Uh-huh.
hiding between the carton boxes.
Oh my goodness.
You know that they open the carton and they
Uh-huh.
put in the new little like this all together.
Oh my goodness.
So when we empty the box and we try to move the box is still very heavy. So what's going on?
Something. It had a false bottom, huh? Wow.
A lot of stuff.
Okay, very good. So Armando had worked before he came to Los Angeles. He had worked. He had worked at the airport in Guadalajara. All right. Good. Claudia, let me ask you a question. What year did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 2015.
Only 5 years ago. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. At that time, had you ever been to another country?
No.
So this was
No,
your first
I
time.
hadn't been.
First time to leave your
Yes.
country, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the
So
first time.
again, so she says no. She says she had never been to another country before she came to the United States. She had never been to another country before she came to the United States. All right. Isadora, let me ask you. Let's see. What year did you come to the United States?
I came to United States in 1987.
1987. Okay. At that time, had you ever lived away from your parents?
No, had never lived away from
You
my
had never lived away from your parents.
parents.
So that was the first time you were
Yes.
separated from your parents.
Yes, the first time.
Did you feel very lonely at the time?
Yes, I
God,
had felt lonely.
No, you
time.
felt very lonely, right? Again,
Yes.
she felt lonely, simple past, because she had never been away from her family before. Felt lonely, simple past, because she had never been away from her family before. That's perfect. All right, Miss Rita, let me ask you a question. Miss Rita, when did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 1995.
1995, fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so you've been here 25 years.
Yes, 25 years.
Okay. Let's see. At that time, had you finished your high school?
Actually, I was 12 years old when I came to Los Angeles.
Oh, so you hadn't.
So I hadn't, no.
You hadn't finished your high school yet. Okay, very good, very good. Again, so negative. So she says, when I came to Los Angeles, I hadn't finished my high school yet. All right, good. Rodriguez, for you. Hello.
Hello.
There she is. All right. Now, when did you come? You haven't been here very long, right?
No, I came to Los Angeles 2018.
2018, only 2 years. Oh,
Yes.
okay. So you spent most of your life in your country.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you are a newcomer. She's
Yes,
the newest. Okay.
I studied at the university for nurse.
Oh, okay. So had you graduated before you came here?
No, I haven't.
So you want to finish your nursing training?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have some good programs here at East LA Occupational Center. Maybe in the fall. The fall, if we ever get to come out of our holes. 1 month. What? 1 more month? We'll see. Tomorrow the governor is going to make an announcement. So we'll see what he says about when we can open the stores again. We'll see. But I don't think we're going back to school until August, though. We're stuck on the video until August, unfortunately. All right, Jennifer, Miss Jennifer, when did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 2015.
2015. So you have been here for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Before you came to Los Angeles, had you ever traveled to another country?
No, I haven't.
No, you
Only
hadn't.
this country.
Hadn't, right?
Hadn't.
So she hadn't traveled to another country before she came to Los Angeles. Julio, how about you? When did you come to LA?
I came to Los Angeles in 1998.
1998. Okay, very good. At that time, had you lived by yourself ever?
No, I hadn't.
You hadn't lived by yourself. This was the first time, huh? Did you
Yes.
Did you come alone or did you come with family?
They brought me over to the border, and I was there for about 5 days.
Then you came over by yourself?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. That's an interesting story, I'll bet. 5 days of sitting at the border, huh?
Yes,
All
and
right.
I was 16 years old.
Oh boy! Wow. Were you scared?
Yes.
I'll bet. I'll bet. That sounds like a scary experience. All right, Maria Ponce de Leon. Hello. When did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 1990.
1990. 30 years in Los Angeles. Wow. Before you came to Los Angeles, had you ever seen an American football game?
No,
Never.
never.
All right. Have you seen one now? I hope so.
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Okay, let's see. Okay, so she had never seen an American football game. Jose Garcia.
Yes, Mr. Webb.
When did you come to LA?
I came to LA in 1998.
1998. Had you ever had a job before you came to LA?
Yes, I had.
You had a
I
job
had too many jobs.
back in your country, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Rosendo,
Yes,
when did you come to Los Angeles?
I came to Los Angeles in 1998.
1998. Oh, a lot of people 1998. I guess we're in the advanced class, so everybody has been here a long time. All right. Except for Edovigas. Edovigas is our baby in the group. All right. Only 2 years. Let's see, Rosendo. Before you came to Los Angeles, had you ever heard about Universal Studios?
No, I hadn't heard about the Universal Studios.
You hadn't heard
before
about
I came to Los Angeles.
Okay. And now have you gone to Universal before?
Yes, I have.
Now
I
you
have
have.
gone
Now
to,
you have. But when you came, you had
Yes.
never heard about it.
I never heard.
You
I
had never
had
heard
never
of
heard
it.
about it.
Oh, very good. Noel.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, very good. Noel, question. When did you come to LA?
I came to Los Angeles in 2004.
2004.
Yes.
How old were you at that time?
I was like 17.
17.
Came here, yeah,
Oh.
17 years old when I came here.
Had you had a girlfriend back in your country?
No, I haven't.
I didn't have one when I was 17 either.
I was single.
Yeah, single man, huh? No girlfriend.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
You were free and easy. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Leonardo, how about you? When did you come to LA?
I came to Los Angeles in 1988.
Another one, 1988. Okay. And oh, right, that's the same year I came to Los Angeles. So we are equals. Let's see. Had you ever driven a car before you came to Los Angeles?
No, I haven't.
No, you hadn't. All right.
No.
I haven't tried.
So I asked many questions, 15 different questions, and they were all past perfect. Why? Because we were comparing two things. We were comparing before coming to Los Angeles and after coming to Los Angeles. So Leonardo, you know how to drive now, right?
Now?
Now you can,
yes.
you can drive, but
yes.
Before she came to LA, she had never
drive
you see the idea? We have before 1988, she had never driven. Now, sure, but until that time, hasta 1988, she had it. She had it. That's what past perfect is all about. Okay? No problem?
No problem.
Okay. All right. I'm going to put you into a little group, and I want you to ask your partners 3 questions about something, and I'm going to give you different times. Okay? Okay. So I'm going to have you ask your partner 3 questions, whether they had done it or hadn't done it before they came to Los Angeles. Okay? So 3 questions each from the cabeza. Okay? All right, no problem.
From the cabeza?
Yeah, from the cabeza. So what's the question going to be? Had you ever, before you came to Los Angeles, right? So for example, had you ever eaten Italian food before you came to Los Angeles? Had you ever seen a baseball game before you came to Los Angeles? Had you ever drunk alcohol before you came to Los Angeles? Had you ever spoken English before you came to Los Angeles? Okay, got the idea?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to put you into 4 little rooms, and I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to practice, okay? All right, everybody ready for practice? So what's the question?
Yes.
What's the question?
Okay,
Have you ever been?
Had you ever?
Had you ever
Before you
been
came to
or
Los Angeles, right?
Spoken.
Yeah, yeah. Had you ever spoken English before you came to Los Angeles? Had you gotten married
Once.
before? Had you had a baby before?
Have
Whatever
you
you
ever
want to say.
danced?
Okay, no problems?
No
No, no
problem.
problem.
All right, so I'm going to put you in your rooms for about 5 minutes. Speak English only, and then I'll have you back here in the main room in a few minutes, okay? Had you ever, remember, H-A-D, had you ever before you came to LA? Okay, no problem? All right,
No problem.
I'm sending you to your little rooms. Bye.
Okay, bye.
All right,
Bye.
push the join button. Push the
Okay,
button
teacher.
that says join and work with your little groups. Okay, 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 okay. One more is Leonardo. There we go. Jennifer's back. Noel's back. Armando.
Yes, sir.
Here comes everybody. All right. Hi,
Yeah.
welcome, welcome.
Hi, Marie.
Everybody's back. Did you have a good chat in your room?
Yes.
Li- Life is always very different before you come and after you come, right? I was before I came to Los Angeles. I was small town boy. Yeah, my home city. My home city was about 2 miles from one end to the other end. So it's very small. And now Los Angeles, very big city.
Where are you from, Mr. Webb?
I'm from a town called Aberdeen, South Dakota.
Okay.
Aberdeen, South Dakota. It's in the middle of the prairie, right? There's a lot of cows and a lot of corn, and not very many people. I live in a farming town.
But it's the snow. Too cold.
It snows, yes. Snow in the winter it snows, and in the summer it's hot. So it's the weather is terrible all the time, except for about 3 weeks. About 3 weeks in April, the weather is nice, but that's about it.
Teacher, where are you from? Teacher, where are you from?
I'm from Aberdeen, South Dakota.
South Dakota.
South Dakota is right in the north central United States.
Oh.
Yeah, north central United States. It's a little town called Aberdeen. Yeah. So
Aberdeen.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So you had a good chat in your rooms? Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody was speaking English only.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, when you go to these little rooms, the most important thing is speaking English, right? If you talk about something different, it's okay, as long as you're talking about it in English. If you talk about the soccer game, it's okay, as long as you talk in English, right? That's what is our benefit of those small rooms, is we could have a nice conversation with only a few people. Okay, we're gonna do one more thing before we go home tonight. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I always say before we go home, but we're already home, right? Before we log off, we're gonna read a story that has past perfect in it, right? And you're gonna see how past perfect and simple past work together. Okay, so I'm gonna share a story with everybody. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let me see if I can find it here on my sharing list. Let's see here. ¿Dónde está? Okay, maybe this one. Okay. No, that's not it. Where are my PDFs? Okay, let's see. Okay. Okay. do you see the verbs coming up? Yes. We were practicing before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And where is this? Where did it go? All right. Oh, here we go. Okay. Do you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
It says daring, defiant, free.
Free.
Okay. Good. All right. It says a new generation of super climbers is pushing the limits in Yosemite. This is about Yosemite Park. You know where is Yosemite Park?
Yes.
Yeah.
In the northern
North California, I guess.
northern part of California, right?
California.
Northern part of California, right?
No, I don't know where it is.
And this one has
Google it. Google it.
it has a picture. You see this picture? Oh my goodness! Look at that guy.
The,
Oh my
the
God!
biggest, the tallest trees in the world, huh?
The tallest trees in the world, right there, the sequoias, right?
He's almost like me, but
Yeah,
no.
About 400 feet, huh?
How do you describe this guy? He's very what?
Nervous?
Impressive.
He's very nervous.
Very brave, maybe nervous. Okay.
Very brave.
All right.
Very
Good.
crazy.
Crazy.
Let's read this story, and let's look at the past perfect in this story, and then we'll see how past perfect and simple past work together. Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. I will read it, and you listen while I read it. Okay.
All right.
All right. A new generation of super climbers is pushing the limits in Yosemite. It says every rock climber who has come to Yosemite has a dream. Alex Honnold's dream was to free solo Half Dome, a 2,130-foot wall of granite. Free soloing means climbing with only rock shoes and some chalk to keep the hands dry. Wow. So he's climbing the rock with no rope, nothing, right?
Dangerous.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Crazy.
He says, Honnold couldn't use a rope or anything else to help him stick to the slippery slope. The few people who had climbed Half Dome before had used rope, and it had taken them more than a day to do the climb. Okay, so you see that past perfect? Had climbed, had used, had taken. Because we're talking about before this guy Alex came to try to climb it. Okay, on a bright September morning, Honnold was clinging to the face of the Half Dome, less than 100 feet from the top. He had been climbing for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Again, past perfect continuous, right? He had been climbing for 2 hours and 45 minutes. But all of a sudden, he stopped. Something potentially dangerous had occurred. He had lost some of his confidence. Oh my goodness. He hadn't felt that way 2 days before when he had been racing up the same rock with a rope. That climb had gone well. Today, though, Honnold hesitated. He knew that even the slightest doubt could cause a deadly fall, thousands of feet to the valley floor below. He knew he had to get moving, so he chucked off his hands, adjusted his feet, and started climbing again. Within minutes, he was at the top. Bloggers spread the news of Honnold's 2 hour and 45-minute free solo, and the climbers were amazed. 2 hours and 45 minutes to get up to the top of that rock. My goodness. On this warm fall day, 23-year-old Alex Honnold had just set a new record in one of climbing's biggest challenges, right? So we saw all that past perfect, right? Why? Because this happened when? When did it happen? 2000, I don't know, doesn't say. Sometime? I don't know, it doesn't say the year it happened. But this is when he set the record, and they're comparing that to before, okay? So let's see if we can do some practice with this a little bit. All right, First, let's check our understanding. When you free solo, you climb without what?
Rope.
Without rope.
Rope.
Exactly. This
Rope.
one, without rope. You free without rope. Okay, let's see. Alex Honnold's free solo of Half Dome was or wasn't successful? Was successful, right? He was able to do it. All right. Honnold lost his confidence or lost his rope for a moment. What did he lose? He lost his confidence. Good. And what does it say next? It says no or some climbers before Honnold had climbed to in under 3 hours.
No. Some.
No, none.
No.
He was the first one, right? He was the first one. Good, good. All right, now let's look at the past perfect here in these sentences. Remember, what was the key point? We use past perfect with the first action, the first thing that happens. So let's look at these sentences. Can everybody see, or you want them bigger? Whoop.
Hey,
it's better?
Mr. Webb.
Yes?
Mr. Webb.
Yes, sir.
We can make it bigger.
Oh, you can make it
by
bigger
ourselves.
yourself. Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, we
I
can.
didn't know that.
Just
Yeah.
touch the.
Just if you are using your cell phone, you can make it bigger. Or
No, I can use my phone.
All right. Well,
just flip your phone.
It's okay. I moved my phone. Oh, I did.
I made it bigger myself. So
I did.
So hopefully we can all see it very, very well now. All right. So notice what we have here. Remember, what did we say? We use past perfect to indicate the action that happened first. Past perfect indicates the action that happened first. So notice this sentence. Honnold climbed Half Dome without a rope. Others had climbed it with a rope. So the first action, had climbed. The second action, climbed. All right. Let's see the next one. He had been confident until he got near the top. Which one is number one?
Had been.
Had been, right? And got near the top is fast, right? So this is where he got near the top. This is the point, and he had been confident until then. He had been confident until then. Good. All right. Now the next one. This time was different from the last. The last time he had used a rope. So what happened first? Did he use the rope first?
Use a rope.
He used the rope first. So this is going to be our number one here. This is going to be our number one, right? And then this will be our number two. All right. He climbed the fastest. Nobody had climbed so quickly. Again, what happened first? Nobody had climbed that quickly. Number two, he climbed the fastest. So the second action will always be simple past. The first action, past perfect. All right? All right. Let's practice a little bit more. Let's do one more practice here and then we'll be done. All right? So look at these examples. Right? Lisa had finished her assignment by the due date. Tim hadn't revised his essay before the class. Had you been to Tokyo before your trip? Where had Raul lived before he came here, right? This one is very similar to the question we were asking our partners, right? Where had he lived before he came here, right? So again, take a look, right? Here's our past perfect. We have two actions. We had finished dinner first, so we ordered dessert second. When I arrived, second, the band had already played first. She had left home before he arrived. She left home before he arrived. When you use a word like before, it's not really necessary to use past perfect. It's okay, but it's not necessary. And again, we use words like ever and never, right? And oops, here's the big one, by, right? by 5 p.m., it had rained 2 inches. And here's another one we use a lot. By the time we finished dinner, the rain had stopped. Very good. Okay, so let's do this last one together, and then we'll be done here. What does it say? It says, complete this conversation with the words in parentheses. Use simple past or past perfect. Okay, so we got 2 choices, simple past, past perfect. All right, Deb says, tell me, why did you take the trip to Moscow? Because it was my dream to ride the Trans-Siberian Railroad. It's something that I had wanted to do. All right, now the next one. Should I say how long did or how long had?
Have.
How long had
How long had
the trip?
Had you taken the trip?
Oh no, it's did.
I think this one is going to be did. Let me see. Let me see if I can write down here.
How long did you take?
How long did the trip take?
Take the trip.
All right, let's see. Okay. All right, how long, oops. All right, back to this. How long did, oops. Oh, I guess I can't write on this. Oh, well. How long did the trip take? How long did the trip take? All right, the next one. 7 days. By the time, now here's the key word, right? By the time the train arrived at Beijing's train station, I what? I traveled or had?
I
had traveled 4,735 miles. Had. All right. Now Deb has a question with ever. When he has a question with ever, what are we going to say?
Have you ever?
Had you ever been? Right. Had you ever been? Had you ever been? Perfect. Had.
No, ever.
And what does it say? No.
No, the longest train.
It was the longest train ride. We want to use ever in this case.
I had ever taken, right? The longest train ride I had ever taken was only 6 hours long. All right. Now the next one, what during those days? Now, are we talking about the trip or before the trip? Did you do?
What did you do? Perfect. What did you do during those days? Very good. Simple past, right? We're using simple past because we're talking about the trip. So everything about the trip is simple past. Everything before the trip, past perfect. You see the idea? The trip, simple past. Before the trip, past perfect. So for example, did you ever get bored? Not at all. It was very fun on the train. I had many conversations. By the time the journey was over, I made or I had made?
I had made.
I had made, because you have that by the time there. By the time the journey was over, I had made many friends. In fact, one of them
had gone
to my high school, right? Because high school was before the trip, right? Before the trip, he went to high school. So he had gone. And I had never met him before. Had never met him before. Very good. Very good. Excellent. So, as we see, past perfect is always about comparison. Always about comparison. We compare one thing to another thing. In the case of that conversation we just looked at, it was a comparison of what happened on the trip. That trip was with simple past. And what happened before the trip. In the story we read, it was about what happened on the mountain climb and the things that had happened before, right? He had been very confident until he got to the top. And then he started to get nervous. But he had been confident until then. All right? So that's past perfect. How do we feel about it? Okay?
Okay.
Okay, you want to do one more thing? Let's do one more thing. one last thing for today, okay?
Okay.
Okay. If you have to go, that's fine. But let's do one more thing I have planned for us for today, okay?
All right.
All right. We're gonna do this together. Oops. Cancel that. Okay. One more thing we're gonna do together. Okay. Let me share it for you. Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. All right. Let's do this together. Everybody see what we have here?
Yes, teacher.
Again, we have two actions. One earlier, one later. Notice the example. The police gave Alicia a ticket because she had made an illegal turn. Right? Simple past and past perfect. Okay? All right, so let's see if we can make 8 sentences here. And anybody who has an idea can let me know and I'll write it down. All right? It says here, Brett gained a lot of weight.
He had been eating.
He had been eating too
much.
Too many cookies.
Okay.
Too many cookies.
Sounds good, right? So Brett gained a lot of weight because he had been eating too many cookies. That's me. Too much chocolate. All right.
Yeah.
The next one. I was proud of my son. Again, simple past.
He had passed the exam.
He had passed.
He had
passed.
gotten good
He
grades.
has a good grade.
His exam. Yes.
Okay. The students did very well on the test because
They had
studied hard.
They had to study hard.
Okay, good.
Hard.
My sister got angry at her daughter because she
hadn't
gotten a boyfriend.
Oh, she had gotten a boyfriend? Oh my goodness.
No.
She got a boyfriend.
Boy, that's a telenovela right there. That sentence is telenovela for sure. All right. All right. How about number 6? We were
exhausted.
Exhausted because we
had
studied
work.
hard.
We had been studying hard. We were exhausted because we had been
working hard.
Okay. All right. Carlos lost his job because
he had got late.
Arguing with the boss.
Because
he had
argued with the boss.
Argument
with his boss. With the boss.
Okay, right? So he lost his job because he had gotten into an argument with his boss. Okay, and the little boy was crying because
He
was hungry.
He has been tired. He had been sick.
He had
been sick.
he had
Being sick.
He had been boring.
He got
Eating jet.
He hadn't
He hasn't got
enough to eat.
no.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. There we go.
Okay.
So what do we have? We have past tense over here for the effect, and we have past perfect for the cause. Right? Past tense for the effect and past perfect for the cause. Okay?
Okay.
All right. No problem. All right. Let me get back to here.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. All right. Wow. That class went very fast tonight. Woo. The time is over so quickly. All right. So, no, any questions? Do we feel good about past perfect? Now tomorrow, we're going to see past perfect again, but we're going to see it used in a different way. Okay, so this is the first way we use past perfect, when we compare two actions.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a second way to use past perfect tomorrow. So there are actually about 3 important ways to use past perfect. This is the first one, 2 actions and compare. The second one we'll talk about tomorrow, and the third one we'll talk about later in the semester. But if you're a level 4 student, past perfect is very important on your final exam. I don't know how I'm going to give you a final exam this trimester, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So again, if you don't have Schoology yet, please let me know and I'll help you get it. If you're having a problem with Schoology, let me know, because we're going to start, I think once we finish this week, I'm going to want you to do a Schoology test. So we'll see how well that works. Let's see. Rodriguez, did you get your new information?
Yes, I got it.
Was it okay? No problem?
I sent my date, my birthday, and they didn't answer me.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I sent you back a new password. Did you get the new password?
I didn't see it.
Oh yeah. But check your email. I sent it about 2 hours ago. Right before the class. So check your email. Okay. So and if anybody else doesn't have it, please let me know and I'll help you with that. Okay. Good for tonight. So we're gonna see you tomorrow.
Thank you, teacher.
Tomorrow at 7, and more practice with this past perfect. Okay.
Okay.
No problem. Everybody happy? All right.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Are we staying positive? Yes.
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 Are we eating too much food? Yes. Are we exercising? No.
No.
But we'll do our best. We'll do our best. All right. All right. Now I'm gonna go have some cookies. I'm gonna go have some cookies. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe
Bye.
eat that. I'm gonna eat that chocolate rabbit again. Okay.
Bye.
All right. Hasta la vista, baby. We see you tomorrow.
Hasta mañana.
Hasta mañana. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night to you too. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Love you all. Take care.